dedicated myself to public service, and I want to be able to focus on those things and prioritize those things for the first time in a long time.
Garrick also says he's not ruling out a return to politics sometime in the future. Governor Doug Burgum has signed an emergency order to ease a shortage of truck drivers to deliver milk to schools, businesses, and other customers. The order waives hours of service requirements for drivers for 30 days, which follows a decision by the state's Milk Marketing Board to waive enforcement of certain licensing requirements until April 1st. The move came after a major milk distributor in North Dakota went out of business due to, in part, to a lack of certified drivers. Whether it's Bitcoin, NFTs, or something else, the IRS wants to know about it this tax season.
With over $14 trillion in trading volume last year, cryptocurrency is no longer simply a thing of the future.
We have quite a few clients that are not just dabbling, they're full in it, so we need to know what's going on.
Chris Powers is a partner and tax leader with Abdo, which has offices in Edina and Mankato. If you invested in crypto last year, Powers says make sure you indicate any trades or purchases you made with crypto when filing taxes this year, or you could be in for a rude awakening.
Don't think that you can just skirt behind it. The IRS will get it figured out, and you'll get a notice. Might be a few years later, but those penalties and interest are just not worth it. Just get it right, recorded now.
Powers says crypto holders need to record any gains or losses they made.
That's reporter Mark Fry. KFGO Weather Center forecast this afternoon, mostly cloudy, windy, high of 30 hopefully. Tonight, overnight low of 10, mostly cloudy and breezy, few scattered snow showers. Tomorrow, blowing snow in open areas, partly sunny and breezy, a high of 12. And Friday, partly sunny, high of 15. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
Well, I hope the peak of the week's been treating you well wherever you got us locked in to 790 AM and, of course, 104.7 FM KFGO. Perhaps watching us do radio worldwide, KFGO.com, and, of course, on YouTube Live. Number of ways to take in afternoons live. And, of course, it was pleasant temperature-wise. That wind destroyed that relatively quickly. I know that that's going to be continuing on. We'll get you an updated forecast. In about half hour time from Too Tall Tom Szymanski. I want to start and dive in right away because there is an article that was shared with me, and it's out of Boston, CBS affiliate out of Boston. And let me set the stage before I get to Paul Lyons, who is our guest, to share his experience in this, and then we'll take your conversations and your opinions on it. I already have some coming into the Eye Consultants of North Dakota Text Club, which is 35270. But Boston, that's where we're going. You have a 31-year-old man fighting for his life at a hospital, and his father was on the CBS affiliate saying, hey, my son's fighting for his life here, and he's being pushed to the limit. And what he's fighting with is the fact that he was front line to receive a transplant, heart transplant. And being in front of the line, okay, you have some hope. Well, that was taken away because this DJ, this 31-year-old man, chose not to receive his COVID-19 vaccination. So he's no longer eligible according to that hospital policy. So you've got the hospital saying you did not get the vaccination for COVID-19. We deem you not eligible now for this heart transplant. And the father of that 31-year-old saying, look, he's got his principles, his basic principles. He doesn't believe in it. And if this policy didn't force him to do it, to take the shot that he doesn't want to, basically, to summarize, saying it's not fair. That's what the individual is saying. That's what the family is saying. The hospital is saying, that this is going to impact his immune system. And you know what? And instead of taking it from me, let's pull in Paul Lyons. You know him. He's all over KFGO. We plug him in everywhere. Thanks for coming in, man. How are you doing?
You bet. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Getting started here. So, let's start off. You explain your story because I don't know. I don't want to, hey, this, and then all of the public doesn't know that. So explain your experience with this situation.
Right. Being born with cystic fibrosis, you got certain body parts that aren't going to function as well as as normal people. Mainly affects the lungs. So in 2002, My lungs got so bad, filled with mucus and stuff, and I had to have a double lung transplant. Fast forward a few years later, due to a lot of the medication I am taking, that does have an effect on the kidneys. So I had to have a kidney transplant. Also was diagnosed with diabetes. And so due to that, and also a faulty pancreas, I had to have a pancreas transplant in 2019. So that's sort of my story, 3 transplants. And with CF, I'm used to the whole hospital thing. You listen to your doctors and stuff, and they'll get you to where you want it to be. So,
well, that is quite the experience resume, I guess, if we want to put it that way, of having to have some expertise in this situation, which is why I'm glad you're able to join us for a little bit early in the show here. So you've had this done a number of times.
Right.
Explain the process to become eligible, what they say you can do, what they say, look, you've got to change this. I mean, you don't have to get too personal, but just how rigorous it is to be eligible for the transplant.
Well, there are certain, obviously, qualifications that will deem you eligible for transplants. When I had my lung transplants, I had to go through a week full of tests down at the University of Minnesota to deem me eligible. At the time of my lung transplant, I had 17% lung capacity. I mean, imagine not even getting enough breath in you to be able to yawn. That's how bad it got for me. And with a kidney, due to, like I said, a lot of the medication, it was doing damage to my kidney. So I was getting close to kidney failure due to that. And so I had to have the kidney transplant, and, went through a number of tests too. And then for the pancreas, that's another thing that cystic fibrosis is hard on, is the pancreas. So, and then after a while, they say if you live long enough with cystic fibrosis, you're eventually going to develop diabetes. And so I was doing insulin shots for that. And then since my pancreas transplant, I haven't had to have insulin anymore and no longer considered diabetic. So
when it came to, we'll go with the first eligibility. I mean, granted, because of the diagnosis that you were born with cystic fibrosis, obviously we're going to just assume that that was a qualification.
Right.
But as far as, all right, lifestyle or other things that you need to have done medically to be eligible to actually have that operation, to stay on that list. I mean, did they require you, say vaccine for A, B, and C? You cannot smoke. You cannot. I mean, is there a list? I mean, that checklist that you had to do to make sure you stayed on the list to be eligible for a transplant?
Oh, absolutely. Smoking obviously was a terrible thing. And I've never been a smoker, but I had gone in back then. Fargo still allowed smoking in bars.
Oh, sure.
So that was one thing that I probably could have avoided, but I was just trying to embrace life in case my time is so limited 20 years ago.
Live life, sure.
Yeah, but and I had to keep my weight up, so they had, because with my pancreas also faulty. I don't know if you remember me before my pancreas transplant, how skinny I was. I mean, I'm still somewhat skinny now.
So you're still a twig.
I was so skinny I could even reach under my rib cage.
Okay.
So there are certain weight requirements too you have to keep up, and basically try to choose as healthy of a lifestyle as you can, and do whatever you can to stay as healthy as you can and as strong as you can to be able to survive that transplant.
Well, and to survive the transplant thing, that's why I want to get to, because that's the argument that this hospital is making. Back to the reason why I had you in, because I know you've had so much experience with this. The hospital is saying, look, we are requiring this patient to have a COVID-19 vaccination because these transplants, they basically, this is in their terms, that post the transplant, your immune system is basically shut off. Is that the way it was kind of described to you as well?
Absolutely. My doctors in Minneapolis, they encouraged me to get the COVID vaccine, which I did. And then one of my next appointments down there, they said upon further research, the vaccines probably will not be effective in you. And so, it's just, it is what it is. And so that's why when I did get COVID, I was a little frightened, because I thought, I'd go down the same path as our Bob Harris did. But thankfully not, because it wasn't that severe. But still, you got to do everything you can to try to, well, just imagine if I wouldn't have taken my insulin when I was diabetic. if I simply refused because it was inconvenient or I didn't like it, which, it was both, but I knew I had to keep doing it to be eligible to have that transplant. Same with, the lung transplant. If I went out smoking and, doing drugs and everything and doing everything I could to harm myself, that would have eliminated me from the transplant.
And your doctors told you
Yes.
as such, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that if you don't do this, look, you're ineligible for this.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else you want to talk about this experience? I mean, just because I know, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself here. When I read this story, and there's people that certainly have opinions on it,
Sure.
just putting a face to it that, look, this guy has probably been told the same thing you were 3 different times.
Right.
And then be on the top of the list and then refuse one thing that's a vaccine. There's people wondering whether or not it's appropriate or not. I don't need to ask you unless you want to share whether it is appropriate or not. But anything else before I let you get back after?
Yeah, this has been one of the biggest things that I've gone on social media and had the biggest arguments about with some people, these anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers, is that, you got to listen to your doctors. I mean, if I wouldn't have listened to my doctors, I would have been dead 20, 30 years ago. But, and they do know what they're talking about. These doctors who are, and I'm sure it's tough for these doctors to tell somebody on a transplant list no. And it's frustrating for them that this person isn't doing everything they can to try to stay as healthy as he can to, get that transplant. Because, it's, and COVID, especially the way it's going now with, when they're saying my body, my choice. Well, it was just like the smoking issue back in the day. If it was only affecting you, that's one thing. But if you're smoking in a bar around other people, that secondhand smoke is going to get to you. Same thing with COVID. If you're walking around without a mask, infecting people, and, some masks work, some masks aren't as effective. They could still catch that COVID. And if your immune system is already compromised, it's going to make you sicker, the better chance for you to go in the hospital, and even worse, better chance that you might not make it.
Well, that's where this hospital is saying that your immune system, if we do this procedure for this individual, is to be basically shut off. You catch this after the fact and you're not vaccinated, that does provide some protection, the chances are. And then, of course, with how limited the organ supply is, as morbid as that sounds,
right?
That we give this to you and then this happens, then now all of a sudden that's gone as well.
Yeah, and that's almost like a waste of a transplant,
And that's what the hospital's saying.
Right, and people with transplants, they're waiting long enough. For my lungs, I had to almost wait 3 years.
Really?
So when you're down to 17% lung capacity, that's a long wait.
That is a hell of a long wait.
Yeah.
Paul, I appreciate you sharing your experience, man.
Glad to be part of it.
Well, you'll be back in about 2 hours. How's that?
You got it.
All right.
Sounds good.
Paul Lyons, you catch him here. He's got a number of roles at KFGO. Your thoughts, 35270, the Ag Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. The hospital, the family. Get your take when we come back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
Want to get this message out right away. Tyler, there's a pickup upside down, exit 343. Has flashers on, no emergency crews, and that just came in within the last 5 minutes here. And for those of you wondering, I had to do the quick Google here, exit 343, I-94. That's, I believe, on the west side of West Fargo. So it would be the Cheyenne exit, I do believe, or at least in the vicinity of there. So I want to thank our road warrior for getting that in. But again, pick up upside down on the exit 343 with flashers on, no emergency crews. I did see on my way in town from the north side a pickup, and this was hours ago, and I know that there was crews out removing it, a pickup that was in the ditch on the southbound lane. So the point of bringing that up is it's still slick out there. The wind blowing that snow again. You had a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of warmth. So it might get a little bit more dicey out there as we get closer to the evening hours. In the meantime, I want to thank Paul Lyons for coming in, sharing his personal story just about his experience being on transplant list, not once, not twice, 3 times because of the condition he was born with. Now, with this individual out in Boston that's in need of this heart transplant, 31 years old, relatively young, but he's refusing to get his COVID-19 vaccination. And his father saying, well, it's because his principal, he doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe in the vaccine. Well, the hospital said, then you're not on the list to be eligible to get this transplant because your immune system will be so impacted, will be so run down because of the toll that a transplant of an organ takes on your body that COVID could kill you. The flu could kill you. A cold could kill you is what they're saying. And these organs are so scarce, and I'm reading a quote here, that we're not going to distribute them to someone who has a poor chance of living when others who are vaccinated have a better chance post-surgery of surviving. My question is, do you feel that the hospital is well within its right? I do. And it's not just because of this vaccine. It's because of other things that are so strenuous and so rigorous of what they ask patients because of the delicate procedure and because of the list and the demand and those that need a transplant that are doing everything that is asked of them from medical professionals to make sure that if this transplant does take place, that you survive and are able to utilize that organ as long as humanly possible. I think the hospital is well within its right. Let me know your thoughts. In fact, I'll get to some of those right now. First of all, Tyler, God bless Polly comes in. The guy who has refused a heart transplant is not actually fighting for his life, or he wouldn't have gotten the vaccination for COVID. Another one. When you are being considered for an organ transplant, they need to make sure that you will take care of yourself, thus not wasting a valuable organ. Correct. Another one. Tyler, 100% someone who chooses not to be vaccinated should not receive a transplant, just as someone who is drinking, someone who is smoking, all the other science and fact-proven things that make a patient not a good candidate for survival. So there, I'm getting as much as I am receiving the same thing that I am saying right here. I think it just, the hospital's within its right. You feel empathy for the family. The guy does have a decision. He's got a choice. And if you want to get this transplant that you've been fighting for so long, then this choice going on to him, I don't know. It's just the fact that this is the seemingly one medical choice that people, I'm taking on principle. I'm going to trust you for everything else in an operation room based on your medical degree, based on your scientific background, to make sure that when you put a different heart in my chest, that I survive. But I know what, I don't trust your recommendation, medically speaking, that I need that vaccination. Where's the divide? How do we get there, ladies and gentlemen? 237-5948. You can also let me know at 35270. This is After News Live. We're just going to start on KFGO.
Halverson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Air
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out.
News and weather this hour is brought to you by Rick Electric. Rick Electric is proud to serve the Fargo-Moorhead area since 1964. Day or night, they're here for you. Find them at rickelectric.com.
Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy. It's 26 degrees. I'm Paul Jerkins. 2 people have died after an early morning house fire in Fargo. The fire department responded to a report of smoke coming from a home at 1418 2nd Avenue South shortly after 5. One person was taken by ambulance to a Fargo hospital where they died. Search of the house found a second person. Property within the house made it difficult for responding crews to control the fire. 2 firefighters fell into a hole in the floor of the house but were able to safely get out. The search of the house was slowed due to partial collapse of the second floor and the roof. Valley City Police have released the name of a man who died in a house fire last weekend. The victim was 65-year-old Anthony Mitchell. Police officers and fire crews encountered heavy smoke and fire on arrival early Sunday morning. Mitchell's body was sent to the UND Forensic Pathology Department. Firefighters were on the scene for about 14 hours, and the house was covered in ice from water that had been used to fight the blaze. The State Fire Marshal's office is investigating. 26, this is KFGO News. '26. This is KFGO News. Tony Gehrig may have surprised more than a few people today. The Fargo City Commissioner says he is not running for a third term in this June's election. He says he wants to spend more time with his family and to focus on the remaining 4 years of his military service with the North Dakota Air National Guard as a pilot and officer.
In 4 years, I'm going to be in a different place than I was today, and I'm in a different place today than I was 4 years ago. So I think every elected person has that calculus that they take and say, okay, where am I at? Do I want to invest my time here or there? What's my priority today versus yesterday or in the future? And it was not an easy decision. I will truly miss it.
Sometimes referred to as Dr. No because of his votes against many proposals, including tax incentives and special assessments, Gehrig says he has no regrets. He also indicates that he could seek another position in local government sometime in the future. Gehrig lost 2 city elections before his first win. In the 2018 city election, he had the most votes. The CEO of an organization that helps former criminal offenders and those struggling with addiction and mental health issues has announced a run for Cass County Commissioner. Adam Martin, the founder of the F5 Project, cites his experience in grassroots organizing and the nonprofit sector, as well as the growth and successes of the F5 Project, as reasons for his decision to run. Martin also expressed a need for active county commission engagement and leadership with the ongoing investigations of staff at Cass County Social Services. Martin, who lives in West Fargo, will seek the District 4 seat on the 5-member commission. North Dakota Congressman Kelly Armstrong says he has concerns about a dramatic expansion of U.S. Capitol security measures that were ordered in the wake of the January 6th riots. Armstrong is among 7 members of Congress who are asking for answers about the Insider Threat Awareness Program. Armstrong says it's dangerously close to spying on members of Congress, their staff, their constituents, and their supporters. It seems the general manager search for the Vikings is over. Adam Carter reports.
And according to a person of knowledge with the process, the Vikings have hired Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah as their general manager. That person speaking to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity because the Vikings have not yet announced the decision. The team is taking an innovative turn by bringing in an analytics expert from Cleveland's front office who once worked on Wall Street. The 40-year-old Adolfo-Mensah was vice president of football operations for the Browns the last 2 years. Again, no official word yet from the Vikings.
Both general manager Rick Spielman and head coach Mike Zimmer were fired a day after the 2021 season ended. Fargo-Moorhead, a mostly cloudy afternoon and a strong south-southwest wind that's creating some blowing snow conditions. Right around 34 our high, mostly cloudy then tonight, still a bit breezy, some scattered snow showers, blowing snow and 10. Tomorrow, partly sunny. Meteorologist Tom Shemansky is expecting the high in the morning about 12 degrees, partly sunny, and still some areas blowing snow. Friday, 15, partly sunny. Saturday, partly sunny, the high 26. Fargo-Moorhead, we have a mostly cloudy sky. It's 25 degrees. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Hi, Rusty.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah. You take a lot more joy in it being a Wednesday than I.
Halfway through the week.
I know. You know, there's a saying, not in agriculture.
Okay.
In Seinfeld, that Tuesday doesn't really have a feel to it.
Yeah.
Wednesday doesn't really either.
True.
It's just there.
Yeah, it's a work day for most folks.
Yeah.
We're getting closer to playoff football, though, so there's that.
There is that.
Yep.
We also got a boat show going on this weekend as well.
Yes, we do.
Be up there Saturday hanging out. I'm going to be sending some of you there, too. I got some tickets. I got to start getting away so you can go join us at the boat show.
You're going to be hanging out Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
Okay. Perhaps I may swing by to say hello.
You do that. I'm going to hang out with Scott Brewer, Kyle Eggery, Gun Outdoors. I think they're broadcasting 11 to 12.
Okay.
I'll be up there some point there.
Okay. We might see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll save you a spot in the Fargo Dome.
Yeah, there should be room.
Yeah. Well,
should be room.
Be a lot of pontoons out there. The trick is not bringing the checkbook, but being mindful about everything else.
Yeah, I don't.
No. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. I wanted to talk about beef.
Yeah, talking about checkbooks, my good golly. The monthly food price outlook from USDA reporting that beef and pork prices going to rise again this year. That upward pressure, though, could back off in the second half of the year. Matt McLaughlin, USDA economist, has a look at the trends in retail beef prices. Now, in pork, last year saw an increase of 8.6% compared to 2.2% the year prior. More than $1 of every $5 in grocery spending is for meat, according to USDA. And economists are saying overall food inflation could return to its long-term average of around 2.5% this year. But aside from meat, price increases expected more closely to align with 20-year averages for most other food groups, according to the government.
So the cheeseburgers would be a little bit more expensive. The ribeyes, just a hair more.
Yeah, and that $1 of every $5 in grocery spending for meat, I don't meet that.
No, I would say I must be an outlier if that's average because I imagine it's a couple more bucks per $5 for me.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is for me, absolutely.
If there's not meat in the the meal, then it's not really a meal. That's just an appetizer.
Lots of sayings in agriculture.
Rusty, you come back next hour.
Yeah,
right?
Let's talk milk next hour, maybe.
Milk, yeah, that pairs well with meats.
It
if
does.
you can find it, that's been the problem. We'll talk about that, I imagine, next hour, right?
Okay.
All right. Rusty Halverson. You can check out his work, Sarah Heinrich, if you go to kfgo.com. Just click on that agriculture tab. Lots of messages into 35270. I see Ken's on hold, a number of others. You stay there. Coming right to you right after the CBS National News.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Halverson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas Couch
790.
Potato Radio.
JJ
Gordon from It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice.
KFGO times 241. I cannot wait any longer to move on from walking in Memphis to continue our conversation about what's going on in a family in a hospital, Boston. A guy that is refusing, 31 years old, refusing to get vaccinated. He was on the front line, front of the list when it comes to getting a heart transplant. Hospital says if you're not going to get the shot, you're off the list. And there's a number of messages, but you know the rules. Phone lines come first, and Ken has been so patiently waiting. Ken, I appreciate your patience. How are you doing today?
Okay. I fell asleep here a little while, but I'm awake now.
Was it walking in Memphis that woke you up?
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
Okay. Number one, I totally agree with them not allowing this guy to be on a transplant list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got to want to live, and it ain't no fun. I know people that have had transplants, and so I don't think he should be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I've got relatives down in bigger cities down in Texas where these hospitals are full up of people in there with COVID and whatnot, that have not had any shots, but yet somebody gets in a bad car accident. They have to sit outside the waiting room and wait to even get into the emergency room because they're so full up of people that have not had their vaccinations, or people come in with COVID that have had all their vaccinations, can't get in and get a ventilator even because they're full up of people that, haven't had it. I think they should step in and say, yep, sorry, you didn't take care of yourself in the first place. So,
yeah, Ken, and that's being reported all across the news, is that hospitals are full. Staffed beds are limited because you're having an influx of people coming in, but also staffing shortages because of the whole situation. People are burnt out or they're sick themselves, Ken.
On the radio. Yeah. So, I mean, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. 237-594. He was on the radio to whoever's listening. I hope you dialed it up there now. 790 AM or 104.7 FM KFGO is what you got locked into. I mean, I'm going to repeat one more time, then I'll share some of your thoughts. For me, I don't understand how we've got to a point, somewhat collectively, at least for us, half the population, maybe that's not 30, 40%, somewhere there, to where this guy, this 31-year-old man, trusts the doctors and their medical background to literally cut his chest open and put a new heart in it based on the science, based on the medical degrees that they have. They're well within their knowledge. We trust him with that, but he does not trust their medical advice that he needs this shot to continue to stay healthy, barring, contracting COVID, contracting a cold, a flu, all those other shots. I'm curious if he got the flu shot or if he had an issue with that, because they say when you are having this transplant, it's not easy. As Ken was just saying, as you know somebody, we just had Paul Leinson here. Not easy. They ask something of you because you are getting a piece of somebody else to survive. And if, in fact, you trust them for that, but not this, I just don't know how that disconnect became so abundantly clear. I'm going to share some of the other thoughts that you have sent in. Tyler Pauly is such an inspiration. What a wonderful insight he shares. Thank you for that. Definitely the hospital is right comes in. Tyler, what does this guy's insurance company think? Do not know. That was not part of the report that I saw with our CBS affiliate out in Boston. I would imagine they're on the hospital side. I would imagine. That's my assumption. I do not know for a fact, though. Tyler, having a family member received a kidney transplant from another family member, I know firsthand. A transplant is a privilege, not a right. By all means, the recipient should do everything they can to stay as healthy as possible. Comes in. This one says off subject, but I don't know necessarily. Tyler, I believe Meatloaf's family did a grave disservice to his fans and society as a whole in not disclosing his vaccine status and cause of death. Come on, man. Comes in. Another one. Tyler, does this young man, quote, believe in the anti-rejection drugs that he will need? Again, we've trusted these medical professionals with so many other decisions. And now I know there's people out there saying yes, but sometimes they're not always right. Well, you go get that second opinion. This process, this procedure, what's required of somebody. I mean, if you have a trouble with the hospital saying you've got to get these lists of vaccinations, not just remove the word COVID from this debate. I mean, do you think they would be wrong in denying a lung transplant patient that refuses to quit smoking? I mean, we're asking something somewhat in the similar vein here, and I don't know of anybody that would say the hospital oughta. They got to do it. So why would this change for you now? More messages in at 35270. Phone lines open as well, 237-594. And I'm going to get you that weather update from Too Tall Tom Schmansky. At the top of the hour, Jason Matthews, you've heard him on this program a number of times. He's a friend of mine, friend of the show, and he's a political science instructor that can really discuss the landscape of big political moments, nationally speaking. Well, you have a Supreme Court justice saying, I'm going to retire in January of an election year with an administration that's got a Senate that's split down the middle. We'll talk about that, what it means going forward in just a little bit. I'm Tyler Axis, your host. Eric Johnson, our producer. We're with you till 5 o'clock right here on KFGO.
Halverson here with another Dynamite News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an...
To the phone lines I go. That is the Laney studio line, 237-5948. That's where we connect with Leela, who has called in. Leela, thanks for calling. How are you?
I'm just fine. Yourself?
I'm doing well. I said earlier that Wednesday doesn't have a feel, but you know what? I'm in a good mood, so we're going to keep it that way to 5 o'clock.
Me too. Regarding the 31-year-old who refuses to get the shots, I agree with the hospital. I'll tell you why. My nephew, who was in his 40s, had needed to have a heart surgery. He lived in Montana, and he refused to quit smoking and quit drinking. And until he did, they were not doing that heart surgery. Needless to say, 3-4 years ago, he did pass away, but it was more so from lung cancer. So no, I don't. I agree with the hospital. That's the protocol to get that shot. I got all mine.
Leela, and I'm with you too. I mean, if with that scenario you just put out there with your relative, and if I were to ask that question, do you think he should have got the transplant anyway when he didn't refuse or when he didn't agree to do with what his medical providers were saying need to be done? I don't know that people would disagree with the hospital in that moment. Why I'm getting some in the text club now, I'll have to explain my thoughts. But I appreciate your phone call. I'm sorry to hear of your loss, Leela.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Have a good day.
Yeah, you do the same. I appreciate the phone call. 35270. Tyler, what is the... Oh, no, there's this one that I want to get. Tyler, this country is in a bad place when someone can't get a new heart because he won't take a shot that the government thinks he should get. Here's why we're partly in a bad place, is because it's not the government thinks he should get it. It's his medical providers, the ones that are being tasked to give him the new heart. His doctors are saying he should get this, not the government. This isn't Joe Biden. This isn't the governor of Massachusetts. It's his doctors, the ones that he's entrusting to cut his chest open and place a new heart in. You trust him with that, but not trust them saying, look, you need to do A, B, and C. And all the other check marks, they're not saying that he's refusing to do this. It's just this one. But it's not the government doing that. Mr. Exodus. Oh, thanks. I go by Tyler, though. I appreciate it. I've heard people want to know everyone's status on being vaxxed. My opinion, dumb as it is it's no one's business one way or another, with the exception of your doctor or hospital or clinic. Otherwise, just open everyone's medical records to the public. I understand your sentiment, and that's not necessarily the conversation at hand here, but for me, I don't care either anymore. And I was having this conversation with somebody earlier. Look, I know I've done the things that I wanted to do. That was the meatloaf text. Oh, thank you for clarifying and texting back in. That makes a lot more sense. But let me finish my thought here. As far as look, I did what my doctors were advising me to do. I was comfortable with it. I did it. You know what? As far as coworkers go, as far as others that I interact with, I'm out and about doing things as though I did before. And and I don't go out asking, hey, what's your status here? Before you come over and we share a cup of coffee together situation. Tyler, the hospital can do what they want, but vaccines don't have much to do with his heart. Smoking, eating, and drinking do. I think, and I don't agree with you there, and clearly the doctors don't either. As far as, because it's not necessarily just the heart itself, it is the fact that the immune system has become so weak in this process of a transplant. And I think that goes regardless of it's a heart, a lung, a pancreas, whatever organ it may be. It's just that you are so much more susceptible. And as the hospital said, you're much more likely to die, not just from COVID, but a cold, the flu, these things. So take as much precaution as you can to mitigate some of that. Again, I'm going to tie a bow on this. We'll switch gears. We'll talk about the Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer saying, I'm out. People have been looking for that announcement for over a year now. We'll break that down with Jason Matthews. But explain to me, if you can, in your mind, why this family or this individual trusts everything that this medical provider is asking of him, including to do this procedure, which isn't just, it's something as simple as what I can do in a garage shop somewhere. Taking a human heart from someone and putting it in someone else, you have got to have a lot of trust and their expertise to do that successfully. You can trust them to do something as complicated as that, but you don't trust them and you don't want to listen to them when they're asking you just to take 2 shots, 3 jabs of a needle. How is that divide here? I mean, is it purely just because it's all political now? I mean, when I read the father's comments in here, and this is his dad is, let's see if I can find his name, David Ferguson, son's DJ, the 31-year-old we're talking about. He says it's kind of against his basic principles. He doesn't believe in it. It's a policy they are enforcing, so because he won't get the shot, they took him off the list of a heart transplant. But again, he's against the basic principles. He doesn't believe in it, but he believes in the doctors to be able to successfully do that operation. The same doctor's asking him to do this. I mean, if you can't explain it to me, I'll love to hear from you. In fact, I'm going to get to the phone lines here in about the minute I've got left. Tom, I've got a minute for you. Tom?
Hello.
There, Tom, I got a minute for you. Yes.
Okay. Well, a couple things. I don't agree with the requirement to be vaccinated, and I'll tell you why. It's more so at this point because we know a lot more how ineffective the vaccination is at this point. So Israel is the most vaccinated country in the world at 95%. They're being ravaged by Omicron.
Okay. 30 seconds left, Tom.
Why is that, Tyler?
Why is Israel having a surge in Omicron?
Yeah, they're 95% vaccinated.
Well, and I think we've shown as the science goes, this Omicron has had more breakthrough capabilities. Tom, I'm out of time here. I've only got 10 seconds here. So I'll tell you what, when we get between the CBS News, KFGO, I'll continue to respond. I'm Tyler Axis. You got to lock into KFGO.
Halverson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence. So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of independence.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Just a ton of text messages, but ran out of time because if you listen to the show regularly, you know at the bottom of the hour we have hard breaks. We got to get up. So, Tom, I apologize. But breaking up Israel, if we're talking about, well, why is Omicron still there? I'm curious, and I don't have it in front of me, but hospitalization rates, death rates, because, again, vaccination is part of having that ability to have your immune system. Getting back to the doctors in this case saying his immune system is going to be weak. So to have that protection, to have that antibody, the buildup to fight off the virus, to prevent hospitalization, prevent death. So I'd be curious that nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody. I know that I sure as hell never said, hey, get vaccinated. This whole thing's going to go away. But back to this situation with this transplant patient who's now been taken off the list, it is his medical providers, the same ones that are tasked with the operation, that are saying for you to have a better survival chance and a survival rate after you get this other person's heart in your chest, you've got to do this. And he's choosing not to. We can continue the conversation. I've got to switch gears after the KFGO News because I got him just for a short window. Jason Matthews. We'll talk about Stephen Breyer announcing his retirement next.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead partly sunny now and 27 degrees. I'm Paul Juergens. 2 people are dead after a house fire near downtown Fargo. Firefighters responded shortly after 5 this morning to a report of smoke coming from the house at 1418 2nd Avenue South. 1 person was taken from the house during the fire and died at a hospital. Later, while searching the house, firefighters found the body of another victim. Items throughout the house made it difficult for crews to battle the blaze. At one point, 2 firefighters fell into a hole in the floor but were able to safely crawl out. The search was slowed by a partial collapse of the house. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Valley City Police have released the name of a man who died in a house fire last weekend. The victim was 65-year-old Anthony Mitchell. Police officers and fire crews encountered heavy smoke and fire at arrival early Sunday morning. Mitchell's body was sent to the UND Forensic Pathology Department. Firefighters were on the scene for about 14 hours, and the house was covered in ice from water that had been used to fight the blaze. The State Fire Marshal's office is investigating. Fargo City Commissioner Tony Gehrig has decided that he will not run for re-election this year. He cited a goal of spending more time with his son and focusing on the remaining 4 years of his military career. Gehrig says it's been a tremendous honor to serve the community. He says he's proud to have been part of Fargo's many successes over the past 7 years. He is not ruling out a potential run for office in the future. At this point, no one has announced a run for the city commission. The term of Commissioner Dave Papcorn is also up this year. He has not said whether he will be a candidate for re-election or if he will run for mayor. Mayor Tim Mahoney has 3 challengers thus far. The CEO of an organization that helps former criminal offenders and those struggling with addiction and mental health issues has announced a run for Cass County Commission. Adam Martin, the founder of the F5 Project, cites his experience in grassroots organizing in the nonprofit sector, as well as the growth and successes of the project, as reasons for his candidacy. Martin also expressed a need for active county commission engagement and leadership regarding the ongoing investigations of staff at Cass County Social Services.
There's been some toxic environments that have been happening at social services, the courthouse, and a few other places within Cass County. And so I think that it would be my responsibility as a commissioner to ask those questions and create some accountability and some transparency into that so that the public can better understand what's going on, and then rightfully pick the good leaders that can bring a better culture and leadership and training into those departments.
Martin, who lives in West Fargo, will seek the District 4 seat on the 5-member commission. Fargo-Moorhead, we have a weather advisory going into effect at 8 this evening. It'll be in effect until noon tomorrow, primarily for blowing snow, according to KFGO meteorologist Tom Shemansky. Mostly cloudy this afternoon, windy, some blowing snow in open areas, and we should approach 30 or so for a high. Mostly cloudy, scattered snow showers, some blowing snow tonight then, and 10 for the overnight low. That's 10 degrees. Tomorrow about 12. Partly sunny, breezy. Again, some areas of blowing snow. We'll likely see that high of 12 degrees in the morning. Partly sunny for Friday, 15, 26 Saturday, partly sunny, and near 25 Sunday, a partly sunny sky. Partly sunny now, it's 27. Paul Juergens News Radio, KFGO.
Welcome back to Afternoons Live. Earlier today, it depends on who you are, long-awaited news and a long-awaited announcement. You have people saying that they're going to run for re-election, others saying I'm retiring. Same going for Supreme Court Justice. In fact, Stephen Breyer, one of those individuals a lot of people's attention has been pointed to as you are going into this year of a re-election and this administration at where it is, wondering whether he would stay on the court or if he would retire, give Joe Biden, president, a chance to nominate somebody that he would see to put on the court. Here to explain the significance of Justice Stephen Breyer saying, yep, I'm out of here. Jason Matthews, a friend of the show, political science instructor out at Bismarck State College. Jason, how's it going there, buddy?
Cold. But
correct.
But we're managing.
We're on the positive side of 0 today. So it's, granted, with that came a big gust of wind, so it still feels freezing. But, hey, it's almost February. We can have that looking forward to.
Yeah, the February thaw that everybody's looking forward to.
It's a mental state, okay? It's when you're getting January behind you, February's the short month. We're getting there, and it sounds like this administration might be getting there with an opportunity to put somebody on the Supreme Court. The significance of this retirement today, explain it to me, or this announcement of retirement.
It's not a surprise. He's 83 years old, and it was well expected that he was going to eventually step down during the Biden presidency. I think what's noteworthy here is when he decided to make the announcement. Typically, these announcements are made at the end of the court term in late June. By making this announcement now at the end of January, he gives the president advance notice and enough time to find a replacement. What I find very interesting is Breyer has been one of the most vocal individuals on the court in pushing back against allegations and accusations that the court is highly partisan and political. I think that Breyer's announcement today is a tacit acknowledgement of the political climate in Washington and the dynamic that Biden is facing, in that it is better to step down now, or to announce that you're going to step down at the beginning of the year, as far away from the midterm elections as possible.
Well, and that's when I'm looking at the calendar. We're talking about it being the end of January, this announcement, but not too long from now, and the way this time's flying, you got that election. And you think of everything else that was on an agenda whether it's Build Back Better, yeah, I get it. It's basically flatlining, but there's still discussions. There's voting rights. I mean, everything I imagine is getting put on a back burner to get this. I anticipate, and you can tell me if you agree or not, that all eyes will now shift to this nomination, and they're going to try to push this through, I think, relatively quickly, would you think?
I would think so. If I were advising the Biden administration, of course, not to be presumptuous, but to say for the sake of argument here, I would say, you have a short list already. Every administration develops a short list of candidates for an event like this, for a vacancy such as this. They have a short list of candidates. They are going to be it is going to be an African American woman. Biden made that promise in the campaign. So they're operating from a list of about a half dozen potential candidates. My advice would be to announce that appointment as early as next week. Don't waste any time, because you have to understand the United States Senate is on a nice edge. You are one act of God away from the Republicans taking over control of the Senate at a moment's notice. And when you're only working with a 50-seat majority, with the vice president making the tie, you don't have any room for error here. And so the time is of the essence. And I would expect the White House to make an announcement within the next 2 weeks, to be quite honest about it. If they don't, they're making a political mistake, which would not be the first mistake this administration's made.
Yeah, it's been, we are now just about a week, I think, in a week beyond a year of this administration. Yeah, there's a lot to digest there, and we'll have to do that at a different time when we got a little bit more time. But as far as making this, I'm glad you reminded me and perhaps some of the listeners that a promise was made during the campaign that he would put an African-American woman on the Supreme Court, given the chance. You mentioned that there's, by one act of God, meaning, if anything, heaven forbid, were to happen to where a seat changes and who it is in the Senate, it's a whole different ballgame. Is there anything, given the lineup the way it is right now, 50-50, you got the VP, that the Republican split, the Republican F, can do to slow this down, to prevent this from happening?
There's not a whole lot they can do. They'll obviously gin up their base, and they'll and make it, as political as possible, because, to be quite frank about it, all of this entire process, the confirmation process, is just fundamentally broken, but that's for another time and place. But in terms of any maneuverability or procedures that they can take, they're very limited because, as you recall, we eliminated the filibuster for court appointees. And this is a calculation that has to come into Biden's decision-making here. He could put through someone that is going to get 51 votes with Kamala Harris, but he also has to consider the wild card, which is Kyrsten Sinema in Arizona, and you never know where she's going to come from, and also Joe Manchin. And in that regard, his options are fairly limited. There are two names that are being talked about. The one is Leandra Krueger. She is a Supreme Court justice in California. She's on the California State Supreme Court. She has worked in both Republican and Democratic administrations in the Justice Department. She was a deputy solicitor general in the Obama administration. She is a rising star, judicial star. She's 45 years old, but she's someone that has never gone through a Senate confirmation process. The person that has, who's only been on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals since last year. She was one of Joe Biden's first judicial nominees, and she doesn't have much of a paper trail as an appellate court judge, is Ketanji Brown Jackson, and she's 51 years old, and she checks all of the boxes in terms of pedigree with her academic credentials. She was a law clerk for Justice Stephen Breyer. The D.C. Circuit is where a lot of Supreme Court justices have come out of. That's seen as somewhat of a farm league for Supreme Court nominees. And the most important calculation of all for the Biden administration is that she was confirmed last year with 53 votes. All 50 Democratic senators voted for her, and 3 Republicans also voted for her. And there hasn't been anything that has happened in those months since her confirmation that would give anybody pause as to why she should go on the Supreme Court. This is the same Senate that gave her 53 seats. That's why I would look for her to be the most obvious pick.
Yeah, the only thing that has changed between now and then is the fact that it's the Supreme Court of which you would be sitting on. And I can about imagine the think tanks right now putting together talking points as to why they should be opposed to her. And I have no idea. I've never, I have heard of this individual because of the significance, but I don't know enough about her time on a bench to say good, bad, or otherwise. Jason Matthews is my guest. He's a political science instructor at Bismarck State College, a friend of the show here, all things political when we talk about what's going on in the world around us. The political side of this, it's an election year. And historically, at least as of late, it seems as though Democratic voters didn't seem to mind or care as much about how a Supreme Court pick could play when it comes to voting for a legislator. Has that changed since the Trump administration? Now that what he was able to accomplish getting people on the Supreme Court, has that awakened those on the Democratic side to where, all right, it's time to open up the checkbook, make sure that we maintain, or does this not play out all when it comes to the midterm?
Well, it's a little too late. The Breyer retirement does not change the dynamics on the court at all. Right. It is going to be a 6-3 court. What is going to change is what I think is going to be the entire culture and climate on the court. Breyer had been a moderate, a centrist liberal on the court. He was somebody who was very much trying to be a pragmatist in crafting, majority opinions that were down the middle. He was a reliable liberal vote, but he was more likely than all of the other liberal justices to side with conservatives on some cases. That's out the window now. This is a Supreme Court that is acting as though, YOLO, you only live once. They're going after, they're checking all the boxes for the wish list for conservative activist groups in the Federal Society over the years. Roe versus Wade is on life support. Very likely that the plug is going to be pulled on that when the decision is handed down in June. They're now going to go after affirmative action, which has long been a goal of conservatives. When you take a look at the voting record for Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch, they're solidly on the right with Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito. Kavanaugh, depending on the case, could move more to the middle. But what's going to end up happening is whomever Biden nominates is going to be probably late 40s, early 50s. They're looking at about 30 years on the court. They're going to bring an entirely different outlook onto the court. And it's going to be one that has been forged in these battles over the court. So I expect the court to be very contentious over the next several years with a new justice and a new dynamic on the court. In terms of Democrats being involved, the time to have been involved from all practical political purposes was over the last decade, and the court is gone. The conservatives have the court for the foreseeable future, and they're going to be pursuing cases on a case-by-case basis that are checking a lot of those boxes, as I mentioned, for conservative causes in the foreseeable future.
So what I'm hearing is, just like every other institution, we're having that clear divide, which it's going to be a little bit more partisan. Is that kind of what I'm gathering, including now the Supreme Court, just given the sheer makeup?
Yeah, there's no question. John Roberts is the guy that wants to preserve the legitimacy of the court, but while he's Chief Justice and it's known as the Roberts Court, he's only one of 9, and he is finding himself more and more in the middle, trying to thread this needle on a lot of these contentious issues, where you have what we could be described as judicial firebrands, with Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett siding with Thomas and Alito and going full throttle on a lot of these issues. And so Roberts is left trying to preserve the legitimacy of the court, but he's struggling. He's struggling. And this is the reason that I think that Roberts, at the end of the day, ended up upholding the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, was he didn't want to see in 2012 the Supreme Court become a football. And he said as such in his majority opinion, we don't question the wisdom of the legislative branch. And consequently, as a result of that, Affordable Care Act was upheld. But there were 4 votes that were ready to dismantle it. Roberts has time and again tried to be very cautious with few exceptions here. There have been a few exceptions. Been trying very cautiously to navigate the court through these political storms, and I think that he's about to lose on case after case after case on this, and he may very well end up throwing his lot in with the other 5 conservatives trying to temper them. But the Supreme Court's legitimacy is going to take a big hit here in the next few years.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our conversation, Jason Matthews, upon the announcement that he's retiring, Stephen Breyer, 83 years old, and quite frankly, the timing, it's quite understandable. Jason, I'm going to let you go. Is there anything you want to get out before I do?
No, I would love to come back and talk once there's a nominee about how the Democrats have continually been outplayed on the politics of the Supreme Court, going back to Lyndon Johnson, but that might be for a podcast. Over a nice frosty beverage. How's that sound? All right. There you go.
Jason, appreciate it, my friend.
Buddy.
Yeah, you take care. Jason Matthews, political science instructor, Bismarck State College. Front of the show here. Your thoughts, 237-5948, Laney Studio Line. iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club open to you as well at 35270. You got it locked into Afternoons Live on KFGO. Stick around.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Paul Jerkins News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that.
Just a couple of minutes before you caught up KFGO News. Paul Jergens in the KFGO News Center. Local headlines coming your way. Tyler, I suppose Merrick Garland can't be a justice now? Question mark. I still think they should have to vote on his nomination. McConnell sucks comes in. Yeah, Merrick Garland not going to be. Biden as a candidate made the promise. Now people say, well, he didn't fulfill all his promises from the campaign. This one he can. He will likely nominate an African-American woman to it. You just heard Jason Matthews throw out a couple of his suggestions. Somebody else texted earlier when they knew we were going to have this conversation, wondering how the Republicans on the Senate can get in the way. I don't know that there is any maneuver that they have at their disposal right now. We'll continue this conversation, plus the topic before, right after this KFGO News.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out and just make it.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Bradfield and Equitable Agri-Finance, providing long-term fixed-rate financing to America's farmers and ranchers.
Fargo-Moorhead, mostly sunny now. It's 28 degrees. I'm Paul Jerkins. The Weather Service is now added a weather advisory. That's a winter weather advisory. It'll go into effect at 8 this evening. It'll be in effect until noon tomorrow. Meteorologist Tom Szymanski says that is for blowing snow. 2 people have died after an early morning house fire in Fargo. The fire department responded to a report of smoke coming from a home at 1418 2nd Avenue South shortly after 5. One person was taken by ambulance to a Fargo hospital where they died. A search of the house found a second person. Property within the house made it difficult for responding crews to control the fire. 2 firefighters fell into a hole in the floor of the house, but they were able to get out safely. Search of the house was slowed down due to a partial collapse of the second floor and the roof. Valley City Police released the name of a man who died in a house fire last weekend. The victim was 65-year-old Anthony Mitchell. Police officers and fire crews encountered heavy smoke and fire at arrival early Sunday morning. Mitchell's body was sent to the UND Forensic Pathology Department. Firefighters were on the scene for about 14 hours. The state fire marshal's office is investigating. Fires destroyed a shop building north of Rothsay, Minnesota. Crews from Rothsay Fire Rescue and Elizabeth responded to the blaze late last night on Ottertail County Road 11. The cause of the fire has not been determined. Sheriff's deputies and Lake Region Electric Cooperative were also on the scene. The shop is owned by Derek and Brittany Barnes of Fergus Falls. Tony Gehrig says he's not running for a third term as a Fargo City Commissioner in June. Gehrig says he has no regrets with his no votes on tax breaks, limited government, and other issues during his time as a commissioner. But he says it's time for some change.
You know, I've got a young son. He's turning 9 years old in a couple weeks here. You know, I've got 4 years left in my commitment to the military. You know, for the last 10 years, I've really dedicated myself to public service, and I want to be able to focus on those things and prioritize those things for the first time in a long time.
Gehrig says he is not ruling out a return to politics sometime in the future. 28, mostly sunny. This is KFGO News. 28 degrees. This is KFGO News. North Dakota Congressman Kelly Armstrong says he has some concerns about a dramatic expansion of U.S. Capitol security measures that were ordered in the wake of the January 6th insurrection. Armstrong is among 7 members of Congress who are asking for answers about the Insider Threat Awareness Program. Armstrong says it's dangerously close to spying on members of Congress and others. A Bismarck man has been charged with endangering his disabled brother by leaving him dehydrated and hungry in a soiled bed. Dundero Watts is charged with felony adult endangerment. Bismarck police served a search warrant at a home rented by Tony Watts. They suspected his brother was dealing drugs. He was arrested but didn't tell police his quadriplegic brother was unattended and needed care. Minnesota Senate Republicans say public safety is their number one priority for the legislative session, which begins Monday.
More cops results in less crime. We will put forward proposals to hold violent criminals accountable.
Senate Majority Leader Jeremy Miller, that focus much different from House Democrats who propose community policing and other programs they say to prevent crime in the first place. And Senate Republicans focus much different on using the state's nearly $8 billion budget surplus.
Instead of a governor gimmick, permanent, long-term, ongoing tax relief.
Governor Tim Walz and Democrats pushing what they call long-term investments in education and child care.
That's KFGO News Capital correspondent Bill Warder in St. Paul. A Garrison, North Dakota man has been killed in a rollover north of Bismarck. It happened on U.S. Highway 83. 27-year-old Virgil Wilkinson Jr. of Garrison, North Dakota, died at the scene. 61-year-old Virgil Wilkinson, also of Garrison, was injured and hospitalized in Bismarck. The State Patrol says he lost control of the pickup he was driving. In icy conditions, the pickup rolled in the median. The crash was reported shortly before 2 yesterday afternoon. Fargo-Moorhead weather advisory going into effect this evening. It'll be in effect until noon tomorrow. Fargo-Moorhead mostly cloudy this afternoon. We're seeing some sun now. Right around 30 for a high. Windy conditions, blowing snow in open areas. We'll see some continuing blowing snow tonight into tomorrow. Mostly cloudy overnight. Scattered snow showers, too, a possibility. 10 for the overnight low. 12 degrees tomorrow in the morning. Most likely we'll see that high. Partly sunny and still some blowing snow for part of the day. 15, partly sunny, the high on Friday. Fargo-Moorhead, 28. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
If you go to KFGO.com and you click on that agriculture tab, you're going to find a headline that reads, North Dakota officials address workforce shortage affecting school milk distribution. And it's written by none other than Rusty Halverson, who joins me in studio.
Oh, it was posted by Rusty Halverson. That's a joint release from the governor and the ag commissioner. Let's be honest about that.
Okay.
Yep, I posted it up, though.
And you found the photo. That's what I really want to talk about.
Okay. That was in the KFGO archives.
Look at that school lunch before you. You have a hot dog, you got fries, grapes, and a good old carton of chocolate milk from Cass Clay. That ain't bad.
Yep.
I'll take that, especially that chocolate milk. But they're having issues with that, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. The story from the governor's office and Ag Commissioner Doug Goring, they've signed an emergency order meant to ease a shortage of truck drivers to deliver milk to schools, businesses, other customers as well. It's going to waive the hours of service requirements for drivers for the next 30 days. They say it's an emergency measure that comes after a major distributor in the state went out of business, Tyler, being reported that owners of Lakeview Dairy in Devil's Lake, Red River Dairy in Fargo having to shut their doors for reasons such as not enough drivers. Now, the Ag Commissioner says there is adequate production and adequate processing, but there are problems with access to containers for the processors, labor issues within the supply chain, and a major shortage of drivers. So if these drivers would have to be on the road perhaps more to get milk from one location to another location, waiving those hours of service. Reported that Prairie Farms in Bismarck, Kemp's, Cass Clay, and Fargo stepping up to serve some of the areas in need. And also Governor Burgum and Commissioner Goring today also approving sending a letter encouraging drivers who have allowed their CDL to expire to consider renewal. The state, around the nation, we are so short of drivers. It's not just a U.S. problem. It's a problem in Britain. We've heard about the lack of lorry drivers over there. And the North Dakota DOT taking steps to reduce CDL testing wait times by April. They want to train 6 additional team members to conduct CDL testing, holding CDL testing blitzes, what they're calling blitzes, in Devils Lake, Dickinson, Jamestown, Williston. They want to establish a self-testing program for private sector trucking companies. They also want to work with BSC, Bismarck State College, to establish a university testing program to free up CDL testing sites at state offices. And according to the release, the current average wait time for a CDL test at DOT locations is 10.5 days, but that is down from an average of 80 days back in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a dramatic reduction in the wait times for that.
Yep.
Which is it's a reduction in the right way there.
Yep. And so they're taking steps to try and free up the situation immediately by waiving the hours of service. They want to address the problem more long-term by letting folks that have those expired CDLs come on back. And for those who want to be tested, trying to encourage an easier method to do that.
Well, good. I'm fully on board with this one. I see at the bottom there, joint release from Burgum, Gehring. My apologies for saying, oh, yeah, you wrote this.
I'm not taking credit. No way, dude.
Now there's somebody some bureaucrat wrote this one, not Rusty.
Well, we're sharing it with the audience.
No,
that's our job.
It's important, though. I mean, especially when you're talking about that school lunch program.
Yeah, they say, state officials say, since 2017, over the past 5 years or so, the number of drivers with the CDL has declined almost every year, with 2019 being one exception, with an increase of 21%.
I'd be curious for all you truckers out there, or former truckers, maybe it's a question geared towards you. Why? Why are fewer people doing it? Why are we not renewing? What was it? I mean, is it regulation? Is it hours? Is it the job itself? Why are we seeing a decrease in the number of CDL drivers? I'm just curious, but you can only answer that for us. 35270, iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club, or of course you can call me on the Laney studio line at 237-5948. Anything else, Rusty, before I let you go?
Oh, there's too much to share.
Too much.
But folks can go to kfgo.com, click on that agriculture tab, and you'll see some of the latest headlines, including producers being encouraged to sign up for CRP for 2022. NDSU, the Farm Service Agency, they'll be hosting a webinar next Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Time, to review the ARC and PLC programs for the 2022 crop year. Lots of information.
All in one click of a mouse at kfgo.com. Rusty, appreciate it.
You bet.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Rusty Alverson, him and Sarah Heinrich, best in the biz. Glad they're part of the KFGO team. I'm going to get you caught up in national headlines, CBS. Got another 20 minutes with you, whatever you want to talk about. Keeping It Real with Eric Hatch starting at 4 o'clock till 5 o'clock. That punch out. Do you have any real estate questions? You can start sending those in right now as well. I'm Tyler Axel. Stick around.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the Morning Crew this morning. Paul Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
On something, one thing today. This has to do with streaming services, and in particular shows that get released at say at midnight, like 12 a.m. That at least you should allow a not comment on that show until at least 12 to 24 hours after. Because I'm seeing some spoilers for a show that I wanted to watch after work tonight that's already online. It's only been up for however many hours here.
Yeah, I've thankfully avoided the spoilers for the same show, but I think they foreshadowed a little bit of it in the previous episode. Yes. But yeah, just the moratorium for a day. Give us a day.
24 hours is, don't post spoilers, period. There's some shows that I haven't watched that were really hot in the box office. Still.
Yeah.
And it's like, by now I can at least accept, but you have to be like, oh yeah, when this happened, and just be somebody to post it to get comments on your social media when you had nothing to do with the production, nothing to do with the casting.
Yeah, just give us a little bit of time.
Can you tell I got spoiled on something during the break? And I didn't go seek it out. That's the thing. If I were going to seek out more information, but people just blast it out.
I know, and it makes you think like, well, now do I have to get up an hour early just so that I can watch it before I check anything else? So
I get it. Some people can stay up.
See, I used to have the perfect scenario for when there were Friday midnight releases, because I would bartend on a Thursday and get home at like 2:33 in the morning and need a little bit of wind down time, so I'd throw on whatever it is. Totally fresh. I never posted anything about it.
I know. I say you didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
You never said anything. You are barely on social media.
I
have two Twitter followers, me.
I can't. Sure. I don't know. I've made one tweet.
That is perfectly fine. I think it was derogatory towards me, perhaps. I don't remember. But thank you for not actively seeking. Well, it just seems like common courtesy goes a long way.
Yeah. Just. You can be excited about things. That's part of the enjoyment of fandom, is that we all can be excited about the same thing at the same time. Give us a chance.
I know it. Why do we do this? What do people get out of doing this?
They got to be the first.
Yeah, well,
right?
Hey, I'm part of that
culture.
Cool crowd. I watched it, and guess what? I'm going to tell you about what I watched before you get to watch it with your own eyes. Hear it with your own ears.
Don't
be that person. Do not be that person. And to the person that was, shame on you. 237-5948, it's the Laney Studio line. Text me at the Consultants of North Dakota Text Club, 35270. I'm going to go there. And I'm not sure if this person appears to have heard the opposite of what Rusty was talking about, the way I read this. Tyler, there's a shortage of truck drivers, so the solution is to make it more difficult to obtain a CDL by requiring classes be taken before being able to even obtain a permit. The way I understand that the executive order on the North Dakota side of the tri-state area that's listening to me, the executive order is to waiving hours for service requirements so that truck drivers can be delivering milk. Emergency measures come, because of this distributor of milk that went out of business. And the wait times for some of this, went from 80 days down to 10 and a half now. So I didn't hear what you are suggesting, but I do throw out there for those that have decided I'm done being a truck driver. Why? I mean, what was your reasoning to say, you know what, we've spent a long time over the last 2 years, or at least I'd say more so in the last year, of people, the great resignation. I know we probably eye roll every time you hear that, but there's a lot of people, a lot of industries quitting their jobs. We just talked about the teachers situation with Nick Archuleta about just yesterday. And so, I mean, I get it. In industries across the scale here, people are leaving, but I'm just curious, why on the trucking side have you done? Because this, I don't know, maybe it amplified because of the pandemic, but it seems to have been a trend before. So I'm just asking, simple question, if you have been or you are, why? Get you that weather update from Too Tall Tom Szymanski. We got another couple of minutes left in this hour. When we come back, we're going to be talking about, quite frankly, your real estate. We're keeping it real with Eric Hatch. Hatch Realty is what you're going to want to learn a little bit more. You have questions about real estate? It's time to send those in. I'm Tyler Axis. Stick around.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug here with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too Tall Tom.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Boy, some of you in the text club woke up in a crabby mood today. That is for certain. I will get to those after we get to the phone lines. We'll talk to Terry first. Terry, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
Hey, good to hear, my man. We're talking. It sounds like you're a former truck driver. I'm curious, why former? What made you decide to move on?
Well, basically age, but I've been involved in the trucking company my entire career. I'm a damaged freight inspector right now, but I've driven almost 3 million miles over my career, and I've been a DOT inspector part-time for 15 years. I was a truck driving instructor, teacher for 18 years at a community college. So my entire career has been involved on transportation.
Mm-hmm.
But your question, the number one reason I feel that there's a shortage of truck drivers, there's several reasons, but the number one reason is how they get paid.
Okay.
In the 20s, they made piecework illegal, and that's how truck drivers are working today, by piecework. They drive by 90% of them drive by the mile. Very few of them get paid by the hour.
Well, and that goes into the questions as far as some of the regulations that I'm getting in here, Terry, saying, they're just adding, one thing after another, including this training before, a permit. So does the regulation as far as limiting hours and all that impacts pay too, I would assume, Terry?
It really does. It really doesn't, because it's so easy to do it illegally, to make it look legal, to work. I'll give you an example. A couple of presidents ago, the law was 70 hours in 8 days you could work. And they went to reform the laws, but with the input of all the trucking companies to the legislatures and the senators, it ends up now I can work 84 hours in 8 days if I do it properly. So that's not a problem. The problem is how you get paid. As I told you, I was an instructor for 18 years. Yep. I tell those guys first day of class that 90% of you are going to quit within 2 years, in which they did. And the way they're paid is the number one reason, but dealing with big city traffic, inner city crime, that's probably in weather, bad weather, mountains, driving equipment that isn't up to standard. All those things are part of it, but the main reason is how you're paid.
And Terry, I've only got my producers tell me a minute here. 1 minute exactly. What's the easy fix? Is there one?
The easy fix is to have everybody. The quickest fix would be to have everybody get paid by the hour. If everybody got paid by the hour, there'd be a lot less shortage drivers.
Terry, I appreciate the phone call, your expertise. I'm going to let you go. I'm getting a little bit of an echo there. Lots of messages coming in. I don't have time right now, and I tell you what we're going to do. We're switching gears, keeping it real with Eric Hatch at 4:10 right here on KFGO. We do that this every second Wednesday of the month. Well, guess what? We had some vacation, so we're back at it here. I do promise you, because I know somebody's real crabby with me. Wake up, he's yelling. You talked about this on your show in November. We'll continue it perhaps another day. I give you my word. We'll touch this again. I know the trucking industry has been more than willing to come on and discuss these issues, and we'll do that for you another date. I got to get you caught up. CBS National News. Let's talk real estate next.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community.
You want to have a party at your new house? Eric Hatch is the guy you're going to want to talk to. Keeping It Real with Eric Hatch coming up. We're going to check in with Paul Driggins of the KFGO News Center. He takes your questions. Send them in anything. 35270. Whether it's about the current market, what you want to do to prepare to sell your home, you're looking to buy, is this the right time? Do you list? All of that. Anything's on the table. You can also call us on the Lenny studio line at 237-594. Here is what I'm going to throw his way. So this is my winking and nod over the airwaves to him. Over the last year, people did move, and they were moving all over the country. At the rate of people coming into North Dakota versus going out of North Dakota, it seems like more people are moving in. We'll talk about that. Just general, whatever you want. Hold next hour. Keeping It Real with Eric Hatch next.
KFGO News, mostly sunny now, 30 degrees. I'm Paul Juergens. Weather advisory from 8 this evening until noon tomorrow for blowing snow. 2 people are dead after a house fire near downtown Fargo early this morning. Crews responded shortly after 5 to a report of smoke coming from the house at 1418 2nd Avenue South. One person was taken from the house during the fire and died at a hospital. Later, while searching the house, firefighters found the body of another victim. Items throughout the house made it difficult for crews to battle that blaze. Also, the cold was a factor. At one point, 2 firefighters fell into a hole in the floor, but they were able to safely crawl out. The search was slowed by a partial collapse of the house. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Police in Valley City have released the name of a man who died in a house fire last weekend. The victim was 65-year-old Anthony Mitchell. Police officers and fire crews encountered heavy smoke and fire on arrival early Sunday morning. Mitchell's body was sent to the UND Forensic Pathology Department. Firefighters were on the scene for about 14 hours, and the house was covered in ice from water that had been used to fight the blaze. The state fire marshal's office is investigating. An assistant football coach at Fargo South High School has been fired for what the school district says was inappropriate communications with students on social media. Fabrice Nolan was fired on Monday. The district has not released any additional information. Many topics are on the agenda for the Minnesota legislative session, which begins Monday. Reporter Adam Carter.
Public safety, education, tax relief, and the record budget surplus are the issues Senate Republicans say they want to focus on this legislative session. Chair of the Senate Education Committee, Senator Roger Chamberlain of Lino Lakes, is advocating for in-person learning.
It is science. It is concluded. It is done. They need to be in school. They need normal structure. They need their friends, and they need to be out of mass. There is no reason they need to be in mass. There's no reason for all these other draconian steps.
Chamberlain says in-person learning will help with children's mental health issues. Weather advisory this evening until noon tomorrow. Blowing snow primarily. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is looking for mostly cloudy conditions tonight. Some scattered snow showers, a possibility. A little light snow on radars to the south of Fargo-Moorhead and eastern South Dakota. We may see some light snow move through, some blowing snow too, and 10 for the overnight low. That advisory until noon tomorrow, going into effect at 8 this evening. Then tomorrow, partly sunny, some blowing snow in open country, likely seeing the high in the morning of about 12 degrees. Friday, partly sunny, 15, 26 Saturday, partly sunny, Sunday, 25, a partly sunny sky. Mostly sunny now, it's 30. Paul Jurgens, News Radio KFGO.
It's a Wednesday at 4, fast approaching 4:09. That means Eric Hatch is in the studio, keeping it real with none other than Eric Hatch. How you doing, man?
Oh, my gosh. I'm sweating. It's so hot outside right now.
I hope you're right. I've got an hour, and I want you to be right. I was saying, God, can we get like a bro tank weather day?
Yeah, hard pass, and I don't think it's coming.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, there should never be bro tanks in my case, for sure. But
I have what they call bingo wings. Like I wave my hand, and it just flaps like I'm saying bingo, you know?
I've never heard that term before.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm going to write that one down. Bingo wings out there. Let's talk real estate. Things have been going so great over the last year.
Who'd have thunk that it took a pandemic to really kickstart?
Yeah,
a real
you all
estate
had
market.
that one on your bingo card, right? Saying, "Hey, real estate's going well."
I thought it was going in the crapper. I take me back 2 years ago, and I thought I was losing my business. And wouldn't you know, our business is up 80% in the last 2 years. Just wild. I mean, we've capitalized on the opportunity that's there, and we've seen more and more people emotionally wanting to make a move because they're tired of staring at the same walls, and now their house is also a gym and a school and their office and everything else, and so it's really stimulated the market. And then now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, it's like somebody turned the faucet off.
Yeah. Well, and the red sirens blaring. I mean, when we're watching stock markets, down 1,000, up 100, and now today I saw Feds, and there's one air quote I'm going to do for radio, which is great. They said interest rates going up. Here's the air quotes: soon.
Yeah.
Interest rates, and
that's like when I'm starting my diet. I'm starting it soon.
Yeah, some point it's soon. For me, I got locked in at a great time.
Yep.
Yeah, because we did our move this last year. I mean, what people that are maybe on the cusp of tired of the same walls that you're just talking about, and tired of using the same area for a gym, want something new. I mean, time's starting to tick a little bit more loudly.
Well, the buyers, that faucet has not been turned off.
Okay.
The faucet that's been turned off are sellers, and some of that is winter in North Dakota and Minnesota. There's just no way around it. Not as many houses get listed, and we've also had a lot of snow and a lot of cold. Those all impact the market. But the thing that shocked me is I think that people are emotionally exhausted from TV and from the news and from COVID and from...
Not talk radio, though.
No, people are hot on that.
People are hot in the text club today. They're mad at me, but...
well, it's all your fault, man.
Everything. A lot of things are. It depends on who you ask.
I think the society as a whole is just kind of tired. And we've talked about this in past months. You moved recently. How flippin' exhausting is it to move?
Yeah, I mean, it was a third job. Just not the physical labor of moving and packing and all that, just the stress that came on top of stress of the pandemic, stress of the frustration that you can just feel the tension that a lot of people have had. Yeah, it was a lot.
Tyler, I think people are stressed to the gills right now. Yeah. And real estate is one of those things that people are saying, I understand why people are lining up to buy, is because they're trying to give themselves some retail therapy. They're trying to change the way in which they view the world. But the sellers, they're like, where am I going to move to? And we have solutions for that. Like, we can write an offer and you don't have to and get your place accepted. And like, you can put your house on the market and sell it. And we can align it all up so that you don't ever have to move twice. We can take care of all that pain for you. I can give you an offer on your house so you can go and shop for it. Like, we have all those solutions. But despite that, people are still so run down. I think that at least in the upper Midwest, the sunshine changes a lot of things. and we will see an influx again. But right now, if I were to hold up a delicious fruit by the foot, my kids are 5 and 7, so they're going to eat fruit by the foot all the time. If I'm to hold that up, here's what's happened. Is I'm cutting off the bottom 20 or 25% of the buyers that can actually buy because prices continue to go up. Interest rates are up a big sort of way. That's not going to soon, right? It's going to continue to find its way up. And I think that the buyers who are the bottom of the barrel without much cash, not bottom of the barrel character-wise, but just financially their ability to purchase, if they're trying to max out their deal, the houses are getting more expensive and they have to pay to play. It's going to be really, really hard for some of those buyers to ever find a house. Ever is a big term. So in the short term, it's going to be really impossible.
The short term that's going to be here in a relatively short term, if not already started. He already mentioned interest rates already up. So if the Feds are saying they're going to, and they already are, that's something they want to keep in mind. You have questions, 35270. You can also call us, 237-5948. And you're right about the sun being an issue. I had a conversation with a friend just last night, and his wife is looking at getting another job that's a different part of town. They live west of town.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're just starting to dabble. Like, if by chance you take that job, it would be nice to maybe move closer to that area.
Mm-hmm.
And, the stress that came with just the looking for the new job. Are we going to get it? We're going through that second interview process. But also the thing that they're looking at is they like a certain area along the river, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some houses that have been on the market for a long time. And some of them are because you need a lot of work done. You talked about supply chain off the air. I mean, have you noticed in the market being what it is, people, sure, we'd like to fix some things up, but we don't know if we're going to have the resources to do it either financially or the materials to do it or the labor to do it. Has that still an issue? Or
those that are do-it-yourself people, and I'm not talking about the average Joe do-it-yourself because I know some of those folks, and if they say they do it themselves, they do it in a mediocre sort of way and then have to hire somebody to really come in and do it, which is
so
me.
Personal.
I'm sorry.
That's me too.
I can smell my own. Yeah. But those that can really finish a basement, remodel a kitchen, reshingle a roof, like those people will jump on those opportunities. I saw recently a triangle drawn out, and on each of those corners of the triangle, one was price, one was location, and one was condition. Mm-hmm. And we put that in front of buyers and say, all right, the market's going to determine which two you can have. So you can have the right price and the right location, but you may not get the condition because you said, "Hey, it's in the price range that they want. It's in the part of town that they want, but the condition's not going to be there." You may get the right condition and the right price, but the location's probably not going to be what you want. Mm-hmm. Or you maybe get the right location and the right condition, but that price sure is going to be difficult. So most buyers now have to choose which do they want. You can have two, but you can't have three unless you have radio money.
Yeah. Boy, are we just swimming in this
tens of dollars.
Sweet radio money from advertisers like Eric Hatch.
That's right.
Thanks, man. 237-5948. You can also text us at 35270. Getting your questions. I want to know, we've had the census come out. People have moved here. What does that mean for a market as far as buying, selling? But he likes your questions as well. If you have anything real estate related, is now the time you want to market. Right now is a chance to do so. I'm Tyler Axis. He's Eric Hatch. It's Keeping It Real with Eric Hatch right here on KFGO.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. we don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.
Eric, I hope you don't mind if we let Eddie Money get to the chorus here.
Just take me home tonight and tomorrow, and I am all about this jam.
You can fist pump if you're driving home, and if you have a question, you can call us at 237-5948. One Wednesday a month at 4 o'clock, we join Eric Hatch talking about real estate.
I thought this was a karaoke hour. I was ready to.
Well, that's why my
join in.
mic was off. Nobody wants to hear that.
What's your go-to karaoke song? Everybody has one.
Tequila, because all you have to say is tequila.
I thought you were going to say Sandstorm. Yeah, same thing.
Sandstorm. You could do that awkward ABD. All you have is a da 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 da, and then you just make that awkward eye contact across the landscape of that bar.
That's right.
Make it as awkward as possible for everyone there. Messages coming in for you. I'll get to my questions in a minute because I want to talk about how many people moved here, what that does for a market. Tyler, could you ask Eric Hatch, how does Zillow get all their informations on properties?
So those that aren't familiar with Zillow, it is the largest real estate advertising company in the United States. It has a multi-billion-dollar valuation on Wall Street. And Zillow has what's called a Zestimate. That's short for Zillow Estimate. And I want to put the emphasis on the word estimate. Here's what we know is that real estate is hyper-local. It's personal. The condition of the house is reflective based on the current owners. It has to do with market trends. So what Zillow does is they're taking data. What they're looking at is they're saying square footage, bathrooms, bedrooms, lot size, all those things based on comparable sales that they'll pull from the MLS, the multiple listing services. They get access to all that data. They come up with a Zestimate. Now, here's what it needs to be known. Zillow had a program running last year called Zillow Offers. What they were doing in larger markets, it didn't happen here in the upper Midwest. Minneapolis was the closest market in which it happened. They were offering people basically the Zestimate price for their house. They would buy it direct from them. And then their plan was, we're going to go and we're going to put some lipstick on it. We're going to paint the walls, change the flooring, and we're going to sell it for a profit. It was such a bad venture that it has now been shut down completely. They shut down this multi-billion-dollar plan because they lost their heinies on it. Zillow Estimate, a Zestimate that's out there, is not an accurate reflection of your current home value. It's a guesstimate based on an algorithm, okay? And that algorithm can be fiercely accurate at times, but I believe the accuracy of it is somewhere between 90 and 93%. So if you own a $300,000 house, we're talking the difference of maybe $30,000. And they could be in the right or in the wrong on that. And that's a really treacherous swing for people. So do not trust a Zestimate. Trust a realtor, and not just any realtor, but somebody who actually knows the market and will get you a lot of CMAs. It's a comparative market analysis. They'll give you all of the data about what this neighborhood is currently doing and give you a very accurate depiction of what your home should sell for in its current condition.
Just haven't gone through that this last year. I think there was 5 houses on that list that was provided the CMA you're talking about, saying, hey, over the last year, this is what this was listed for. Here's what it went for. And it helped us pick that exact price range, and we were able to sell over our asking price.
And multiple offers, right?
Exactly.
That's the win, right? Is you find that sweet spot where the demand is going to come and they will drive the price up, There's I think it's like a Far Side cartoon or something where they'll put a pair of shoes out there for $200 and nobody buys it. But if you put it out there for $150 at $50 off, everybody wants to buy it and they're going to run the price up, right? And so there's always strategy in pricing, Tyler, in making sure that you're creating a demand and an idea that the buyer is going to get a deal. Because if you overprice it, it's going to sit. Nobody wants day old bread. If you see a house that's been on the market for 6 months and it hasn't sold, what do you say as a buyer? Well, what's wrong with the house, right? Realistically, it's priced incorrectly. The condition and the location are not reflective of what the price currently is willing to be paid for by a buyer. But the narrative that a buyer will tell themselves is, there's something wrong with this house. Right. There's ghosts in the attic. There's cigarette smell in there. There's like, they'll name and create false narratives all the time, and that is not to the advantage of the seller, one iota.
Here's a silly question for you. Let's say somebody's wanting to leave a house because of exactly what you said. Yeah, there's something weird going on in the attic. Do you have to put that in the disclosure?
That's a good question. So
is
it? We've sold homes where there have been deaths, murder houses, suicide houses. It does devalue a house. We encourage our sellers to disclose everything, because if you don't disclose it and you try to hide it, the chance of that coming back to bite you, is pretty high. Each state, North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, they all have different rules on what should and should not be disclosed. So it's unique for every state. Which is, again, a reason why you should probably work with a realtor and not sell it on your own, because you could dig yourself a pretty serious hole.
Yeah, don't want that.
Yeah.
More questions coming in for you, Eric. Tyler, could you ask Eric Hatch, what about investing in lake homes? Should you or should not, or shouldn't you, I guess? Should you not is what I want to say. Easy for me to say. I'm a talk show host.
That's right. I love the idea of investing in a lake home as a second property. But here's what you need to understand. The most volatile market is a second home market. It is the one that will rise the quickest and fall the quickest. If our market shifted right now and it became difficult to buy a home, the lakes would feel it first, because those are second home markets. And so those are the ones that people are going to be quicker to dump. You're not going to dump your in-town property. You're going to dump your weekend property. And so that means that that's a volatile piece. But in a market right now where there's so much demand from buyers, it is the best investment you can have, because folks have extra money. The rich have gotten richer over the last 2 years. The poor have gotten poorer as well. So we could have an economics lesson right now, but there's been more demand on lakes properties as of late than there ever has been because of the demand that's there. I think that if you have a lake place, you can treat it one of 3 ways. The first way is it's just another investment. And like the stock market, you shouldn't take your money out quickly. You shouldn't plan on it making you a quick buck, but you play the game long term and you'll win. The second way is to treat it as you're trying to buy low, sell high. That opportunity is not afforded to you today in Lakes area. Secondary markets don't really have that opportunity today. The other option is to treat it as an investment. And my wife and I purchased a lake place about 1.5 years ago, and it was our first time at the lakes, and it's been a really great move for us. But what we did is I said, I want this thing to actually make me money instead of cost me money. And so I rented out for Airbnb, short-term vacation rentals, and I pay my entire mortgage and then some by simply letting some strangers into my house. And there's some good side to that and some bad side to that, right? Mm-hmm. I get it professionally cleaned every week, so that's great. And then all my stuff is in a weird place, so that's not so great.
You got more time. We got another half hour there. I want to dive more into that. So the experiences of having strangers live in your house. If you're driving home, for example, or you're listening to us and you have a question, you don't feel comfortable texting in, as you shouldn't if you're driving, call us on the Laney studio line, 237-5948. Keeping It Real with Eric Hatch. Rolling on. I'm Tyler Axis. This is Afternoons Live on KFGO.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio. Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Dean's Bulk Service and C-Store in Barnesville on the corners of Highways 9 and 34. Large enough to serve you, small enough to know you.
Fargo-Moorhead, partly sunny and now 30 degrees. I'm Paul Jurgens. Weather advisory from 8 this evening until noon tomorrow for blowing snow. 2 people have died after an early morning house fire in Fargo. Fire crews responded to a report of smoke coming from a home at 1418 2nd Avenue South shortly after 5. One person was taken by ambulance to a Fargo hospital where they died. A search of the house then found a second person. Property within the house made it difficult for responding crews to control the fire. 2 firefighters fell into a hole in the floor of the house, but they were able to safely get out. A search of the house was slowed down due to a partial collapse of the second floor and the roof. Tony Gehrig has surprised more than a few people today. The Fargo City Commissioner has announced that he is not running for a 3rd term in the June election. He says he wants to spend more time with his family and to focus on the remaining 4 years of his military service with the Air National Guard as an officer and pilot.
In 4 years, I'm going to be in a different place than I was today, and I'm in a different place today than I was 4 years ago. So I think every elected person has that calculus that they take and say, okay, where am I at? Do I want to invest my time here or there? What's my priority today versus yesterday or in the future? And it was not an easy decision. I will truly miss it.
Gehrig, over the years, has voted against many proposals, including tax incentives and special assessments. He says he has no regrets. He also indicates that he may seek another position in local government sometime in the future. He lost 2 city elections before his first win. In the 2018 city election, he had the most votes. The head of an organization that helps former criminal offenders and those struggling with addiction and mental health issues has announced a run for Cass County Commission. Adam Martin, the founder of the F5 Project, cites his experience in grassroots organizing and the nonprofit sector, as well as the growth and successes of the F5 Project, as reasons for getting into the race. 30, this is KFGO News. Partly sunny, it is 30 degrees. This is KFGO News. An assistant football coach at Fargo South High School has been fired for what the school district says was inappropriate communications with students on social media. Fabrice Nolden was fired on Monday. The district has not released any additional information. Governor Burgum has announced construction of a nearly $2 billion data center to be located near Williston. Burgum calls the center, to be built by Missoula, Montana-based FX Solutions, as one of the biggest such centers in the world. Burgum says it will help diversify the economy in the region that has suffered oil boom and bust cycles for decades. Uses for data centers include the mining of Bitcoin and other digital currencies. The project is scheduled for completion in 2 years and would create more than 30 permanent jobs. The West Fargo Fire Department is reminding people to stay off the Cheyenne River as water levels are expected to rise. The Corps of Engineers is increasing water flow from Bold Hill Dam. The water released from the dam enters the Cheyenne as it travels through West Fargo, which causes unsafe ice conditions. Even a relatively small change in water levels can disrupt ice formation with little to no visible signs on the surface. A Garrison, North Dakota man has been killed in a rollover north of Bismarck. It happened on U.S. Highway 83. 27-year-old Virgil Wilkinson, Jr. of Garrison, North Dakota, died. At that scene, 61-year-old Virgil Wilkinson, also of Garrison, was injured and hospitalized in Bismarck. The State Patrol says he lost control of the pickup he was driving in icy conditions. The pickup rolled in the medium. The crash was reported shortly before 2 yesterday afternoon. A South Dakota House Committee has approved a proposal from Governor Noem to ban transgender women and girls from competing in school sports leagues that match their gender identity. All 11 Republicans voted in favor of the bill. The governor has portrayed it as protecting fairness in women's sports, but supporters of transgender people criticized the proposal as bullying that would deprive them of an opportunity to compete and belong to a team. South Dakota could become the 10th Republican-controlled state to adopt such a ban on transgender women or girls. Weather advisory from 8 this evening, overnight until noon tomorrow. Blowing snow primarily the issue there. Fargo-Moorhead tonight, mostly cloudy, breezy, some scattered snow showers, and that blowing snow about 10 for the overnight low. Wind from the northwest at 14 to 30. Tomorrow, partly sunny, breezy, open country blowing and drifting with a high of about 12. We'll likely see that in the morning. 15, Friday's high, partly sunny. Mid-20s or so, Saturday, partly sunny. Also near 25 on Sunday, a partly sunny sky. Fargo-Moorhead, partly sunny now, it's 30. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
Eric Hatch is my guest this hour. Eric Johnson is my full-time producer, and you can tell he gets eager for this hour because he just Googles home and house and songs that have those included.
But there's an art to it, too, because you don't want just the general home or home referring to something else. Trying to do more of the home and house as a building.
What, not just like Motley Crue?
Yeah, I mean, we'll mix in the classics.
Yeah, okay, fair.
We have not heard She's a Brick House yet.
No. See, so that's one where
I knew you were going with that. Yeah, she was mighty.
It's keeping it real with Eric Hatch. I'm going to get to the phone lines 237-5948. You call, you get through. In fact, that's where we're going to connect with Bill. Bill, thanks for being patient, man. How are you doing?
Good. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. You got a question for Eric?
Yes, Eric. What would you say to somebody that, I don't know how familiar you are with the Fargo-Moorhead area, but somebody that lives on the outskirts in kind of the rural community towns, say Castleton, Arthur, Dilworth, as far as property value, and if you had a crystal ball, what would you say? Or do you see it growing as Fargo kind of blows up as it has been the past, 10 years or so?
So an interesting thing, and I love the question, Bill. Most people don't know this, but Fargo, square footage-wise, is a bigger city than San Francisco or Boston. Like, the spread here is pretty large. We build out before we build up. I think that Block 9 and the Radisson downtown are unique that they're actually built up because, for the most part, because of the soil and because of the price of land and everything else, we have spread. Now, the interesting thing, especially if we go west, West Fargo and Horace, they feel like the same community now. They have really married together. They certainly are uniquely their own, but we're seeing this trickle now make its way to Mapleton. And then I think this trickle will make its way to Castleton. Inversely, if you're going north, it's a little bit different. If you go north, you run into the airport. And the airport kind of stops some of that growth. And now Amazon's facility stops some of that growth. But then it extends out to the Harwoods and the Argusvilles. I think that an Arthur is always going to remain as a small town. But when we're heading west, when we're heading south, I can paint that same narrative that now what used to be Oxbow feeling like it was North Wahpeton is now really just extended South Fargo. And certainly there's a lot of farmland in there and everything else. And so to your question, Bill, I think that we are going to see the topography of Fargo and the spread of Fargo, meaning the entire metro area, continue to reach out and branch out. And so these smaller communities will become a little less bedroom-esque and more an extension or almost a suburb. They're not going to be a suburb like in a Minneapolis sort of sense. They're still going to have a small town feel, small town amenities, but what we will see is eventual new construction finding its way there. And we're all going to be tied to the major metropolis of Fargo-Moorhead, but we're going to be tied to the epicenter of where it is. And if you think about this, I grew up in Fargo. I grew up in North Fargo, and 13th Avenue was really the divide. Main Avenue used to divide North Fargo and South Fargo, even sides, even parts. When I grew up, 13th Avenue was the divide. Now, south of 32nd Avenue is the divide for like population when you're looking at where everybody is at. And so the growth has extended itself in quite a ways. And Tyler, you were alluding to the growth and the population change that's happening in the metro here. What I see is West Fargo is rapidly growing. Mm-hmm. But it's almost out of space because you have the diversion that's going to be there, and they've run out of some land as well. And so now we're seeing the spread to some of these smaller communities.
Right. So for example, being in one of those bedroom communities, I like your comparison as far as your triangle thing with, location, price, and condition. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If you feel like you have a little bit of each of that pie, but say if you want to do some renovations, granted every situation is different, but if you were looking to maybe renovate to improve the, retail value of your house, or maybe looking at new property right now, what would you recommend, vaguely, just kind of guessing if your house is in okay condition, but you want to make it, better with more furnishings and just some nicer tile in the bathroom, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think if you're making those renovations to sell, there's always right moves and wrong moves that you can make because there's things that will statistically show that this brings great value. If you're making the renovations to stay because you're looking to try to figure the best bang for your buck, my team has no issue trying to help that out specifically. But I want to tell you, I have a house that I've been flipping in Barnesville. And we turned something that was pretty rough into something that's pretty beautiful. And as I say this, hopefully they're not listening. You never know. But we're in negotiations right now to try to lock the deal in. And I know that I'm the only house in Barnesville for sale right now in that price range. And so if they want to be in Barnesville, they're gonna buy the house. Now, inversely, if they go away, I maybe have to wait another month for another Barnesville buyer who's specifically looking at that price range to come along. And so you have an interesting supply and demand model where there's far less supply and far less demand as well. But if you strike right, and if somebody is willing to work from home or they have a shorter commute to where they want to work, your bedroom community that you live in will... The money you invest in your house, the aesthetic improvement, the updating of the basement, whatever it may be, you're ripe with opportunity knowing that this community isn't slowing down anytime soon.
Perfect. No, that's really all I have. So thanks for kind of answering my question.
You got it, Bill.
All right, Bill, thanks for calling on in. You can do that. It was that simple, folks. You call 237-594. You're on air. Whatever catch, free real estate advice for the next, 18 minutes. I got to get you and actually CBS National News update. Tom News right around the corner as well. Get you that weather update. We'll continue this conversation next.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? From It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working
the 5
with...
o'clock punch out, inching closer. Draft time news coming. Hennessy on hockey, 6 o'clock right here on KFGO. Eric Hatch, it's keeping it real. It's a Wednesday afternoon in the 4 o'clock hour. We do this once a month, and I appreciate his time answering your questions. We had a caller off air.
All right.
Name was Chris. He was wondering about the roof is leaking. Mm-hmm. Is this something that absolutely should be taken care of in the selling process?
Yeah. To answer very quickly, and then I, of course, will go on and ramble for a few minutes because that's my jam.
Yeah, that's perfect.
If you have something that is an active problem, something that would cause a buyer to seriously pump the brakes, because what that's relying on now is that the buyer either has to be able to deal with that problem themselves or finance that problem. That's another add-on thing. And here's the math that a buyer uses. Let's say it's a $200 fix. You got to get somebody up there. They're going to put some new shingles on and some new flashing. That's a $200 fix. In my head, I'm like, the whole roof needs to be replaced. That's going to be $8,000. And how am I going to do that in the winter right now? So that's the narrative that's continued. So if you have something that is a basic maintenance thing, let's say you have old shingles and you know that in the next few years they need to be replaced. In this current market, I don't think you need to change that. I think that is something that the next buyer is going to be like, well, I don't want to deal with that, and I'll deal with it when it becomes a problem. But like the way in which you get a new water heater is when the old one breaks. Right. You don't wait until, the life expectancy on water heaters is 8 to 10 years. If you're actually changing your water heater every 8 years, I've seen water heaters last 30 years, 40 years. And if it gets the water hot, is anything wrong?
Functional,
right?
That's good.
So you have to measure out what is the functionality and is it still working the way in which it's designed? And if it is, even if it's old, in this current market, you maybe don't have to fix it.
That when we were in our selling process, you know, you figure, you know what, we've got to fix this, and then all of a sudden you're starting to add that up. And I mean, are there things aesthetically, like you say, functionality? Is that the baseline saying, look, if it's a function of the house, then yes. If it's just maybe a splash of paint on the wall or whatever, then no? I mean, is there a line that you draw saying, yes, you should, no, you should not when it comes to that, getting it ready to sell?
Yeah, so it's always going to be determining or dependent on the amount of competition that's out there, both on the buy side and the number of houses that are similar like yours. If you have that financial ability and you want it fully cleaned up and you want your house to sell super fast, you better get most of those projects done. Whether it be some splash of paint, it's amazing what paint can do to just change some things, especially if you have a bunch of pictures on the wall. I think that smells in a house have so much power, either for or against you, you know? And then ultimately it is the feel test. I don't think it's necessarily the functionality test, it's the feel test. Does this house feel good? Does it have the right kind of thing? Because it's the emotion of the situation that's going to make somebody actually feel connected with it. And if they can walk in and feel good about the house, that oftentimes means that a lot of those projects are taken care of or at least minimized.
And if you're like me, you learn, why did I procrastinate in doing this so damn long? Because now I kind of like the house that I'm leaving and trying to get sold. So I don't think I'm alone in that feeling. I got 10 more minutes with you. You got time?
Yeah, you're still a little bit chippy about that, Tyler.
I'm like, now that I taught myself how to do this, why did I wait so long?
Yeah.
I mean, I love our new house, by far.
It's better on the other side, isn't it?
Yeah,
Once
absolutely.
You get in the new pad.
There's no question there.
Yep.
But now it's to that point. There's a couple of things that need to be done. I better not wait to get them. I'll just do it now.
That's right.
I'm a slow goer, though. We're going to get you that weather update from Too Tall Tom Szymanski. We'll wrap up Afternoons Live and Keeping It Real right after this.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Air
Mighty
Canson
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too Tall Tom
Joel
Szymanski.
Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? From It Takes Two. Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO.
Eric Hatch, 3 minutes left till we hand the microphone over to Derek Hansen. Paulie Line's back in studio. I want you to give the final word, 3 minutes, real estate, keeping it real, as you do.
You bet.
What do you want to get out there before I let you go?
I want to talk about pizza. Let's turn this party up just a little bit, because we do something really great at Hatch Realty on Giving Hearts Day, which is February 10th. That is like a couple Thursdays from now. It's not far away at all. We give so much stuff away. We give away large take and bake pizzas, and then somebody can choose a 6-pack of beer, a 2-liter of soda, or a bottle of wine. And we are giving away thousands of these packages. And so if you're listening, you're like, man, I like beer, I like pizza. There's no hook, there's no catch. You simply need to go to hatchrealty.com and you sign up, go to the events tab, sign up for our date night, because we love giving back. And it is ingrained in our fiber, and Giving Hearts Day is such an awesome thing. And so we want to celebrate that, and we want to give people an excuse. We, of course, are collecting donations while we're there and trying to do some great good. We're partnering with the Turtle Mountain Animal Rescue. We're going to have puppies ready for adoption in our office. So come by, hang out with some puppies. If pizza can't win you over, puppies sure will.
Yeah.
And again, there's no catch. You don't have to be a client. We just want to support our listening audience, those that have given us such a great chance, because we want to create a consistent amount of contagious things. There's a lot of contagious things right now. I want contagious to be around generosity and kindness and goodness and pizza. So that's what we're going to do. So go to hatchrealty.com. Not only can you look for houses while you're there, not only can you find out what your home is worth. Don't trust the Zestimate, trust the Hatchimate. How about that?
Trademark it. Put that on a t-shirt.
I am embarrassed for saying that. Yeah. But
if you haven't gone through this entire show without being embarrassed at least once with the thing you said, you're not doing live radio,
right,
man.
There it is. So this is the chance and the opportunity. If people want to get some free pizza, some free beer, wine, or soda, man, we want to hook you up, and then get a puppy while you're there too.
Yeah, all of the above.
Yeah.
What wine pairs well with a good pepperoni pizza?
So we have the pepperoni and the cheese, but we offer Rieslings, and we offer reds and red blends and Cabernets and Chardonnays. And I've now told you everything I know about wine.
Yeah, that's
the free wine is what pairs best with pizza.
Wine, yeah.
Oh, what flavor is this? Oh, is that free? Oh, that's nice. Is that tobacco I'm tasting? What is that?
Just wash it down. Eric, it's always fun, man. We'll chat again next month.
It's a joy. Yeah, I'll be here.
Once a month, second Wednesday, typically of the month. Eric Hatch, keeping it real over here on Afternoons Live. Tomorrow, Thursday, got a couple of things. We've got the Meat Dude Spencer Wirt Also, we've got Audible as our weekly game that's brought to you by Don's Car Wash. We'll check in with Devil's Eye Tourism. But it is the Cares for Kids Radio-a-thon as well, so we're going to bring you some of those stories as well. That's tomorrow, though, because today, that's it. I'm Tyler Axis, your host here on Afternoons Live. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, you take care of yourselves. I'll check in right here on KFGO.